Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream on the twitch.tv/Xisuma playing Hermitcraft Season of the 9, and we'll start off by replacing some copper because we're down in David, and David has been pumping out the copper, the oxidized copper. I keep having to repair my pick just to mine these blocks. Hero Blender, the Cheese Eater, Bear, thank you for the bananas in chat, and Chi-Wipe Pepper. Well, sorry, Chiwi Pepper. As I try and read the names, it's like my brain's trying to put them into segments of like first and second word and third word and whatnot. Sometimes you just break it up incorrectly and say parts of it twice. Funny. Funny stuff. Yeah, we're currently back on Hermitcraft again. Just doing more tying up loose ends kind of stuff. I wanted to extend one of the Nether tunnels and hook it up to an area that we seem to visit quite often to get bones, and like the journey there is always just a bit yucky because that bit's never been finished. So we need to start work on that, I think. Yo X, what's guanin? Says Sneezy Anus. No idea what guanin is, so I have no idea what's guanin. Tunnels are neat. I love a good tunnel, says Benevolent Bratwurst. They are. They're the sort of things that you should really do straight away because you just walk through them so much in the game. But then it tends to be that you build that same stuff at the same time that you're doing all your early game stuff. You're trying to, build all the farms and get all the things together, and yeah, there's often just too much to do at that stage. So you like leave them and then spend forever walking back and forth through them when they're not in good condition. Will you expand your mega base, says Tala. My mega base? I don't recall having a mega base. I think mine's just a regular base, isn't it? Don't know, probably called it a mega base at some point in time. I'm just going to do whatever comes to me. I got some plans, but I'm on an enforced break at the moment, so I can't really get started for a while. So I've just been hopping on here, streaming, doing bits and bobs. Welcome to the chat, Winnie. Forgil as well. Bear says, I just realised I sounded super sarcastic and I meant it genuinely. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems with chat, right? You sound sarcastic sometimes, or you're not quite sure what the tone is. First time after a while, catch you on stream, says Walker. Well, welcome back, my dude. Welcome back. Got a hot cup of coffee here that I can't forget about. Don't let me forget about it, peeps. Guanin means how's it going kind of slang. Oh, right, okay, I've not heard that one before. Dev Chimera here for 4 months with a subscription, saying, hey X, thanks for being a massive inspiration not only to me, but lots of fans out there. Glad I decided to join this community on Twitch, but thanks to the Xisumaverse Discord for being so welcoming. Thanks for the lovely message there, my dude. Glad to hear the community's been welcoming you in with open arms. That's awesome. And thank you for the 4 months. Hey, it's the one, it's the only Pixel Riffs. Pixel, look at this farm that I built on Hermitcraft. It's so amazing. You'll never guess what it does. It ages. Oh, it's just such a genius redstone design. It ages copper. You know, like you put down the copper, you send out the flying machines, and then it brings back the aged copper. Isn't that incredible, Pixel? Wow, I know what you're thinking. Jeez, what an amazing farm, X. How'd you come up with that? Thank you for the support, my dude. I have just been camping out at David a lot. Like, it's just part of my routine that I AFK here. And so then when I'm streaming, there's always some of this to do. So it's nice to start the stream with this. Just while people tune in, we just pick up the latest round of it. Everyone gets to see the machines in action, and then we crack on with whatever we need to do. Actually, I'm thinking I have fun ways to automate the loading and unloading now. Pixel, that is awesome. Can't wait to see what you come up with. I haven't really had a look at any of that stuff. I've been on a bit of a forced break for the month of January. and kind of just like reassessing so many things. And one of the things I want to do is get that redstone time back. That time in when you're thinking about redstone ideas and goofing around in a test world. Yeah, I've kind of been on a bit of a hiatus from doing anything like that. And it's a good muscle to keep flexing, because you know you can do a lot with redstone in the world. But yeah, unloading and unloading this thing automatically, I ain't got a clue. I would have not an idea what to suggest. I can think of some stuff off the top of my head, but it's always like, feels like the worst ideas come to mind first, like building giant feed tapes or whatever. Like they'll just be big and bulky, and it's usually like a quick and elegant, more elegant way, and there's always some sort of trade-off with like what the player does. But this is great. Like what we got here, the redstones, you could argue it's bulky, but it's always going to be bulky because you need to space these blocks out. So really, the act of just placing and breaking, I mean, you have to place and break every block that ever ages anyway. So if you're just doing it in a little space like this, going back and forth, that's clearly like a really good. So whatever else is needed to like get it into the point where it's like, I don't know, you're doing that in one spot without moving around. Yeah, like there is a gain there. If you think about it, the gain is just what I'm doing right now. All this time spent walking back and forth is kind of like the last bit to eliminate. I think maybe there's other ways of thinking about this. Anyway, I'm just excited for the development of it. This has been one of the coolest things to have on Hermitcraft in some time. Right, let's repair that pick, just so it can keep going. That'll do. Really need to get some villager trading stuff of my own going so I can get loads of these bottles. I'd never catch a stream without the YouTube community post, says my antagonist. Well, that's what they're there for. So glad they're doing their thing. Skippadoo says, first time tuning into a stream, but I've been watching you for years. This is just what I needed to get me through a boring day, Friday in the office. Office life can be a bit dull, can't it? Glad to have you with us, my dude. And I'm gonna, 7 minutes in, it's time to start drinking some of this decaf coffee. Oh yes, it is. The combination of yellow, black, and marbled terracotta is meant to be industrial yellow, black, stripy tape, says Benevolent Bratwurst. Only Pixel knows the answer to that, and I believe it is. I believe it is that. But Pixel put in the black and yellow concrete, and then we had this, and then I thought, why don't I put terracotta over here? I really like it. It's I don't know. It just kind of suits, right? Not all builds in Minecraft tell a perfect story, and I am no master of telling stories with builds. You look at someone like B-Dubs and the way he puts details into everything in the buildings and the shapes, and they kind of tell a story about what they are. This one doesn't really do that, right? Like these blocks don't really say it, but it just feels good. It just feels good this way around. Mr. Geister, thank you ever so much for 48 months of support. Greatly appreciated, my dude. 4 years right there, isn't that incredible? Appreciate ya. We don't see many ice boat roads on Hermitcraft. Any particular reason why? Too much time investment, says says Benevolent Bratwurst. It is the old problem of how the game is dominated by the elytra, basically. Like, being able to fly somewhere in the elytra just kind of eliminates the need for other forms of transport. So, a long time ago in this game, you used to spend ages, like, transporting materials around to do big builds and moving back and forth, and so it made a lot of sense to invest in faster modes of transport just because you use those lines a lot. Whereas now that the sky is a big open space you can whiz through at relatively low cost, there isn't really much of a reason to build other types of transport. And then if you play that game of like, well, I'm going to ignore the elytra, you just get that feeling of like things are slower, things are like Old school, you know. So Jemin says, coffee is a sublime idea. Anyone else want some? I'm sure you'll find some fellow coffee enthusiasts in the chat. Lizzie Best is here. Best? Lizzie Best? I just got off work, rather worn out, so hanging out with all of you once after a while is very nice. Awesome. Glad to have you with us. I think we might just be running out of copper blocks. Can you believe that? The insane farm that I have, we've actually run out. So, I will have to take a trip over there. So we need to take, before we really get on with what we're actually supposed to be doing, we'll take a trip to the ends, we'll take a trip to the end? Yeah, we'll take a trip to the end twice, I guess. We'll do that. Did I leave anything down here is a question as well. Answer appears to be nope. Right, 2 empty boxes might not be enough. I don't know how much... Do you know what? I don't need to go to the end. I'm pretty sure I've got stupid amounts still in storage, actually. We also need some rockets. Just keeping an eye on all the things we need, right? Woo. Up here we go. So rockets and copper. Wait, that one. Oh! Of course there is. No need to go travelling too far away then. Right, and what else do I need? I need something. I'm trying to think of what it was. Rockets? A little bit of paper. I don't have a sugarcane farm, so I'm forever just like skimming stuff out of my storage that's left over. Same for gunpowder, really. Just not a lot of that left. Uh-huh. We'll pick some up where we're going. Right. Time to drink some coffee, right? X, did you really doubt your own pack rat over-prep mentality? Oh! Yeah, I do, because I constantly take trips somewhere and forget something. Tosper says, I saw in Beef's video that bundles have been added to Hermitcraft. Is it going to be used for something else outside of TCG? I mean, we added it so that Beef could use it, but I don't know if the discussion meant other people could too. So, I'm not really sure. I don't need it, so... I don't know. If I had things to sell, like I wanted to do a lucky dip, that'd be a really cool way to just put things like in an item frame that you can just punch out and take and then see what you got. You can kind of achieve the same thing though with just hiding stuff with redstone or in a shulker box that you can't see, so bundles don't have the craziest of use cases. Right, so finish the copper, go to the end to repair tools, and then we might have something a little else to do first before we start doing the plan for today's stream, which is to, I guess, work on nether tunnels and stuff. I could grab some materials for that. Off you go. Off you go. That's all we needed. Sneezy Anus says again, don't like coffee, nope, don't make me drink it. I used to have the same attitude, but eventually I came round to it. It was mainly the mindset of just thinking, like, try and enjoy something for what it is, as opposed to what you want it to be. I try and take that way of thinking into a lot of stuff. Like if someone shows you, God, the amount of, you know, musicians, artists, TV shows or whatever, movies over time where it's been like, you tell yourself, nah, I don't like that. But then, you know, you don't have to enjoy something because it's a reflection of you or whatever. I guess this isn't a great analogy for food, but point being is that you put these ideas in your head about stuff, oh, don't like, do like, and I used to hate mushrooms, for example, and like, I'm not exactly a mushroom fan or anything, but I'll eat them, like, they're perfectly fine. They're edible, after all. So, something from over here, yeah. One of those for the Nether tunnel. Let's pick out that partially used one. Then we'll do a bunch of digging, probably have to throw down a beacon or two. So we need to go pick up some iron. I mean, I do have some lying around here, but I'd like to keep a store of that. Yeah, so repair gear, pick up iron. We'll probably find there's something else that I need. It's really obvious. I've got a feeling I need a bunch of andesite again. Let's just pick out a couple of stacks for that. Right, that should do us. I'm convinced a lot of people say they hate pineapple on pizza because the majority of people say it, says Sir Jemin. I mean, it's one of those things that like people like to be funny about. I always just think, like, if you were starving, like actually starving, like pineapple on pizza, you're not going to say no to it, right? Like, it's food. I just feel like it's too easy to try and be judgmental mentally with food. When I was on holiday, I ate a bunch of food that, to be like frank, like the way it was cooked was really different from what I expected and or what I'm used to, and I think you could genuinely say it wasn't that appetizing. It was all kind of like there'd always be like celery-like things or leeks, and they'd all have this weird seasoning on it. But I'd just eat it. I'd just be like, dang, it's food and it's different and it's interesting. So I'd eat it. And then one day they brought out these mushrooms that were like, it looked like they cooked it in charcoal or something. It was all like black around the outsides, and to be honest, like looked pretty rough. But I ate it and it was fine and it was food. It wasn't like the greatest thing ever, but just all of this, like, yes, it's a little bit of fun to, you know, have a oh yeah, you know, it's a crime against humanity or whatever. But I think at the same time, it also puts these ideas in your head about what food you can and can't eat or something, right? And at the end of the day, it's food. It's like, you can eat all of it. Okay, that's all wool left over, so I probably don't have enough iron to build a beacon again. But we've got some. Let's go to the end. I guess this area isn't really loaded as much these days. We need that nether portal. You know, I have a like a Hermitcraft season concept idea, which is when we do that communal area where everyone builds together, like the rule should be you don't go a distance away and build a base. Like you continuously expand out from that single point. I think that would be really cool. So like everyone's base just kind of becomes. Wait, how far? Oh no, wait. It's in the hub, isn't it? The end portal. I kind of just forgot where it was for a second. You could just make level 1 beacons and scatter them efficiently, says Sneezianus. But then I wouldn't get haste 2, which I would need for breaking certain types of blocks, right? I like that concept. I thought that's how Season 9 was going to go, actually, says Skippadoo. Could have gone that way. The issue is we always get hermity and just disappear into our own little space where we're in control and build our own thing. And I think just flipping the concept would be good, just to be like, actually, let's all sort of make it a rule that like we're gonna keep our bases sort of in this area together and try and play like stepping on each other's toes, which sort of sounds bad, but like it's one of the other reasons we separate is because then we have control over an area, whereas I think not having as much control leads to different sort of dynamics and things happening. Especially on an interactivity front, which, by the way, Pearl is streaming. I did not update my status. We might meet up with Pearl soonish. I probably need to take another trip to the base before I do that. Nice, kind of like you and Kralis did in Season 7, but bigger, says Sir Jemin. Well, we were neighbours, and I think there's been lots of neighbours. Pick your nose and taste the flavour over the years. And, what? And, you know, it's more about, like when you see those collective areas, you always notice like the spaces in between and the bits that were not quite finished. You noticed how it looks like there could have been more here. So if we played in a sense of like, all you can do is expand outwards from the single point, but you can't go off into the distance, then at the end of a season you would have just like a mashed up area full of stuff. I think it'd just be super cool. Kind of like Botum on a server-wide scale, says Skippadoo. Yeah, kind of like Botum, but server-wide, right? Oh, man. God, this is good. Pixel says, been a while since I heard that version of the Neighbours theme. Yeah, it's like a you know, childhood playground thing, that, right? Well, other thing, I can barely remember that stuff these days. Just silly little things that, you know, you do on playgrounds when you're a kid. I love the sipping sound effects. Thanks, I spent a lot of money getting those recorded. I hired a professional sound studio, and they brought in some professional coffee drinkers. And, you know, it was an extensive project. It took a couple of years to finish, but now it's quite convincing. At least, you know, I haven't seen anyone suspect that it wasn't sound effects in my chat. Hang on a second. Good stuff, good stuff. Sounds really authentic, right? If I were to just keep talking at the same time, you know, then you're like, oh wait, I can hear that. I can hear that. Oh, there it is again. You know what I mean? But the software that they put together, like I've just made it play the same sound. It actually can generate unique sounds each and every time. So let's go for a unique one here. See, it sounded totally different from this one. And that's how it's really convincing. So glad you like those sound effects, because yeah, you know, it was a big investment to do such a thing. But you know, the quality of slurping is, you know, professional and of merit. If it were just me slurping, you'd be like, oh, I don't want to listen to this disgusting streamer slurp his tea, and that would be bad for the channel. That's why you got to invest, peeps. You got to invest in coffee slurping. You know. Ever try Lapsang Saotong Chi? Don't know if it's black tea whose leaves have been smoked with pine wood. Has an incredibly unique taste. Actually, yeah, I used to have a box of it. The problem with me and having lots of choices is that I tend to just like gravitate to English breakfast, you know, as a common thing. And I had that, but I never. Oh, don't mind the Ender Dragon. I just never drank enough of it, but it's really nice. It's the sort of thing I like to have on occasion, but not really have lying around the house, because it'll just be there for years. Anarch58, thank you so much for your continued support, my dude. Appreciate it ever so much. Yeah, thank you for the continued support. Oh, mouth burps. Gosh, it's all that coffee you're drinking. Lapsang Saochong is apparently the name, the proper name, the non-derp name. Ah! Amazing 360. Did you get the biscuits dunking sound with the coffee slur? Oh, God. Oh, I forgot about the biscuit. Hang on, who dunks biscuits in coffee? Okay, it's my time to do a... Oh, no, you can't have pineapple on pizzas. Oh, God, crime against... Oh, it's a crime against humanity, peeps. What's this? Putting biscuits in coffee? Never heard of that. What's wrong with you? La la la. I've never tried that. I should try it. I should try it, and it will probably be food, and it will be completely fine to eat it, and then after I've eaten it, I can go, was that better than doing it in tea or not? And I can make my preference. Yeah, no, I'm going to do that now. When next time I have a coffee and there's an opportunity to dunk a biscuit in, I'm going to try that. As for tea, I love McVitie's digestive... I'm going the wrong way. Digestive biscuits, the dark chocolate ones. Dunking some of that in tea. Oh, always good, right? I don't really do that too often, but, you know, at Christmas maybe I'll have a couple of biscuits and dunk them in. Hobnobs in coffee. Oh my God, hobnobs are amazing. I used to go to Download Festival, and my diet for the weekend would just be, I don't know, a bunch of packaged up like breakfast bars and cans of beans and stuff. Just really, really lame stuff that you can sort of like just shove in your backpack. But the hobnobs, I used to always bring a pack or two of hobnobs and just chow some of those down. Always good. So we came back here. Well, I need more iron, which we now have, which is great. And I came to get some shells of the Nautilus, 40. And I need to get... I think that's it. Let's see if we can get Pearl's attention, because, We need to bring... you know what? I should go up top. I want my doggies up here. Like, I don't actually know where I want my doggies. Oh, right. Good for a visitor. Are you at your base? Because I actually need to be here for this first thing. So Pearl's we're going to do a couple of things with Pearl today. Oh. I just haven't looked at what was in here for some time, right? Turns out we already had a bunch of iron waiting to go. Whatever. Okay, can you dump water on my doggies? That's the way this is done. And then they'll get teleported to me. And then we'll go visit Pearl, and I was going to get her to come to the shopping district, but I won't inconvenience her that much. We'll actually head over to where Pearl is. X, a bourbon, yay or nay? A bourbon's a drink, right? I don't drink, so no. Or is it a cigar? Like it's like bourbon. It always feels like that's a drink of a cigar. I don't smoke, I don't drink. So a big no from me. Jaden Depp, thank you ever so much for 25 months of support, my dude. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. A biscuit? A bourbon? A bourbon. Okay, I've not heard of that as a biscuit then. It's a choco biscuit, right. Biscoff is one that I like. Here's the thing, biscuits are just in the category of stuff I shouldn't eat, you know, like, won't kill ya. You can have one on an occasion, but I generally just rule out stuff like that. I'm trying to eat whole foods and rice and meat and, I don't know, fruit and yogurt. Yeah, there does seem to be TPing. Why would that be? Chocolate custard cream type biscuit. I tell you what I do love, egg custard tarts, they're cool. How odd. Right, never mind. We'll have to head over there anyway. What was Pearl was telling us the way over there too? I think dogs do need rain on them. Rain to TP to you, says 4Girl. That doesn't sound right. Red path in the Nether. Sent you hobnobbing coffee tweet picture. I don't think I need a picture of it. I understand the concept. But I guess I can check it out, no harm. So there's blue. You know what? There's a thing for this. It's super cheeky, but whatever. Oh, that's red. That's actually where we're going to be tunnel building today. Okay, XP. Well, there was one just before this laggy tunnel. I don't know why it lags here. Oh, that's also XP crafted. Hypno's base. Block game, best game, says Boneless Sofa. Oh! Whose is this? This has got to be it, right? Such a gorgeous tunnel. All those naturals. Organics. Ah, it's like a 3-in-1. Well, Impulse, Gold and Blackstone, that's Impulse, so this must be Pearl. I like the way it branches off like that. This, by the way, this is what I would like to see us do for an entire Nether hub. Like, total patchwork. I pitch that every time. Every time there's discussion in new season, I'm like, patchwork Nether hub, please. You know? Tunnels like this give me Vault Hunters energy. I haven't seen enough of Vault Hunters to know, but I can imagine that. Cool, this area is awesome. So Pearl might be up here, near where I left the doggos. Oh, wow! Hey, I saw this in a thumbnail. Whee! Look at that thing! Dang. Absolutely crazy. And here's some doggos of mine. Now, the way it used to work is that when they were put into water, they would just teleport. Maybe it was treated like a bug and then fixed at some point. Oh dear, here we go. Oh, I swear, sometimes when I have coffee, I think something like catches at the back. And then it gets aggravated. Oh, there's Pearl. Hello.
I was gonna try and scare you, dang it.
Oh, if you were here like a moment earlier, you would have got me. Big time.
Oh, dang. Alright. I think I need to adjust volumes of this. I need to turn everyone up now.
Oh. Oh, were you making sounds? Because I didn't hear you until I saw you.
No, just like I think everyone's a little quieter on my end at the moment.
Oh, got ya.
Turn up everybody.
Got ya. So did you dump down a bucket of water around these guys and then they bobbed up and down in it?
I did, yes, and they didn't teleport to you because I know that's how they're supposed to work, right?
Well, you know, this game bug fixes and stuff getting changed over the years. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it got labeled as a bug fix and then ruled out or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
How about this?
There's definitely.
Drop down that water again.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to run over here, because you don't have to go far and they teleport.
Well, they'll teleport anyway, right?
They should. They should have teleported by now.
This is very weird.
It is. And it's
The fact
weird
that
how they
they're
go
teleporting to
grey.
you there. Yeah,
Okay.
they're wet. Wet doggos. There they go.
Right, so two of them...
That's a long walk back, if you're going to take them all the way back.
I know, right? Like, it's going to be a lot of work, so...
Yeah.
Those two, though, they should be able to teleport. See, look, straight away, they teleported. Like,
I just
the
don't like it in
distance
the
was so
water.
short. Well, I guess...
Some of my chat was saying that I could have lit them on fire and that would have teleported, but I didn't want to do that.
They might have been trolling. That might have been really bad. I mean, maybe you
To be
could give them
fair,
a little
when
love
dogs
tap.
get hurt, but when dogs do get hurt, they do teleport.
Will it attack you? If...
I mean, no, because they're sitting down, so they won't. We can test the
if
theory.
you want to test,
if you want to
test the theory, like, be my guest. I'm gonna go stand just over here, and you can punch one of them at your own risk. Just attacking you.
He's fully standing up though.
Oh, then it teleported. Yeah, I reckon the damage basically stopped it from sitting down.
Okay, well technically that just worked technically there because he teleported to you.
It did, right? And the old trick is that
Oh, he's
even
still
though...
trying to get me.
Oi, doggo, no! Even though he's a long way away, right?
Yeah.
Can you give him pork chops? Yeah, you can. Even though he's a long way away, like if I'm in loaded chunks, it teleports that whole distance. So if I were to head back and you were to punch them and fly away, it might work, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
try that. Let's...
Yeah, pushing them through the Nether will be both hazardous and annoying, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and do you know what? For your time, I can just give you something, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to. Oh.
Perfect exchange.
40?
Yeah. I can get more.
How did you get so many?
I built a farm where you just stand and then you collect them.
That's so many shells. Oh my word.
Yeah.
I remember people telling me you needed like 18 right before Christmas or something like that, or 16. And I'm like, I don't have that many.
It's kind of funny because I ended up not actually needing any at all.
Oh, really?
So I built a farm, and then I learned that actually the one conduit I had was enough, so that was okay.
Right.
But now I just want other people to have Nautilus shells, and I can't be bothered to build a shop, so that works out pretty well, I think.
I mean, well, hey, there is the trade section in Twinkly Trash that is completely open to donations or anything. I don't profit off it. It's just people switching out resources. So.
Oh, okay, got you. I'll go check that out and investigate. Yeah, that.
I need to tell more of the hermits about it because I don't think I've said it too widely.
You know what it's like?
Not widespread enough.
It's kind of like the depot, right?
Yeah, in a way.
The depot's very similar.
Except it's not like a just take. It's a full-on swap. So whatever you take, you can put something back in what you deem of equal value. It doesn't have to be like 100%. You've got to trade this for this. It's just whatever you feel. If you feel like a piece of paper is worth a stack of stone, you do you.
Oh, look, a stack of diamonds. Let me just give you a pork chop. Oh.
Well, you see, there's no diamonds in there. So.
Yeah, they'll go quickly. All right then. Thank you so much, Pearl. I'll go swiftly back to my base, drop you a message, and then if you want to try punching them, hopefully that works.
Yep, we'll give it a go. Sounds good.
Sweet. Thank you.
No worries.
Bye. Oh, are those... Oh, you got some pillagers visiting. Where was the portal, by the way, peeps? I have this instinctive feeling like it was just down here somewhere. Oh, look, I can see it. Oh, it's huge. It's huge, just different coloured glass in front of it. Cool. Maybe build like a dog hotel and keep everyone's players' dogs in their own room or something. I did something like that in Season 3 of Hermitcraft, where we had a farm that required dogs. And if you wanted to use it, you needed a bunch of dogs. You had to get them in the Nether. And then I wanted multiple people to be able to use the farm. So we had all these like dog kennels underneath it, and you would like go and pick up your dogs, walk into the farm, they'd do their thing, get you loads of wither skulls, and then you come back out and put them back again. It was kind of cool. Oh my god, Darude Skullstorm, says Leonard. That's the one, that's the one. Damp K Wab, thank you ever so much for 2 months of support. Doggo science, best science, isn't it just? Right, I was about to say all good. We'll be all good when I'm standing over here. Commence the punching of the dogs, I guess. Oh my god, it worked! 2! Can we get more than 2? 3! 4! Like magic, they pop out of thin air. That's amazing. All doggos poofed. Right, so they just need to take some damage, poor chaps. And let's heal them all up, right? Now they're all good. Sweet, and we got some, you know, base friends. Now the thing with having pets is that they follow you, right? And you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna like follow you into this water stream, and they're gonna drown. Wish they had a way to just make pets smarter, or like you could keep them in an area, and then they wouldn't go and get themselves in trouble. But anyway, we got them. Would snowballs work? Snowballs probably would have. Yeah. Unless like, I'm pretty sure snowballs most of the time when they do damage, that gets registered. Hello, what on earth is that? That's actually chorus fruit. This is no golden carrot. Don't know what it is. Hang on. Hang on, I got a button for this. Is it that one? Yeah. What is that thing? Look. Looks like a derpy little cute kitten face or something. Right, now with that done, it's time to focus on tunneling. Twisting, turning through the Nether. That's what we're going to be doing. Oh wait, which bit of the base am I at? No, I need to keep going up, don't I? It's jelly ice cream, people are saying. That's why it looks like a cat face, isn't it? Something from Scarland. Got it. Got it, got it, got it. Oh! I've moved too far. Forgil says... Oh, you're talking... I get it now, I get it. You're talking to someone who suggested we use water buckets. So when did that get fixed, you know? That was definitely a thing once upon a time. I guarantee it to you. I've been playing this game a long time. I've also played it long enough to know that Mojang will fix things as a bug, and then later on it's like, oh, it's not a bug anymore. And it'll get changed back. And I think I've seen that happen like multiple times. And so I'm kind of not surprised something like this happened. Let's go ahead and pull out this thing and start doing some building. Crafting bench, good. I guess I just want to throw down a bunch of slabs to begin with to extend this tunnel. So it's basically slabs all the way across, so we'll go as far as we're going. X, have you seen the mod where you can see the Nether through the portal without going through the portal? I have. I think I remember like seeing a showcase of it where it was kind of clear that it was a bit taxing and buggy, but maybe it was just shown a little too early. There are mods like that where you know, like increased render distance and stuff, but sometimes you just can't get it to perform well. But in the showcase video, it looks really good. There was this one that it would extend the view distance by essentially creating like scaled down versions of chunks. So in the distance, you would see a chunk, but it would be scaled down. That's a technique used in a lot of computer games. And, you know, like I don't know how they put the video clips of it together and stuff, but it felt kind of selective because when I ran the thing myself, it did not do anywhere near the performance sort of shown in this video. Look at that thing, like, just up there, just like, hey, You wanted to put a beacon here, but no. Could be just a problem in my system thing, but I do have pretty good specs and whatnot. Siri pronounces your name in a very cool way, Xisuma, says Haley Camp. Oh, right. Using the old Siri to watch a stream, is that what's going on? Huh, I don't... Siri is Apple, right? I don't have access to Siri. I occasionally interact with Alexa. And something that bugs me with Alexa is its timers. Like, it'll have the timer on the screen and you'll be like, Alexa, stop the timer. You have no timers set. And it's like, I'm literally looking at them on the screen right now and you're telling me there aren't any set. It's so weird with timers and buggy. So that's like a block of 7, right? But sometimes it's 2 and 3. In fact, every other time it's 2 and 3, it seems like. 1, 2, 3. And then you'll have like another chunk. The chunk being 5 wide. Wait, am I doing this? I've just started doing it completely wrong, haven't I? Glad I spotted that now and not later. Yeah, let's go ahead and get some extra of these alongside. And fix this up. Yeah, we'll be good. We'll be fine. I need a few junk blocks here and there, I think. I would use the mod, but my PC doesn't cost like $3 and doesn't have a very high-end GPU or CPU. Well, even on a pricey computer, it doesn't perform well in my experience, which is a bit strange. This is the tunnel that I want to hook up today, by the way. It's probably going to be a fair bit of work. I don't know how big it's going to be and what kind of shape we need to build it in, because it's got to go sort of downwards too, I believe. But we'll start just by getting these markings across to where we are. Imagine a good PC costing only 3K, says Fegley. I don't know where all the stats and stuff are at for computers these days, but it shouldn't be that pricey for a decent PC. One of the things I noticed with computers and stuff is like, what's the application? Because I think some people forget that, like, you know, if you want to play Minecraft, you don't really need a super beefy PC. This is going to take me a bit to get used to here. Hang on, I'm doing it all wrong. That one should be one of these two. And then we need more slabs, and I got rid of a bunch. And if you're going to just use like word processing and stuff like that, you can do most of that like through the cloud these days. So it really depends on like what you're trying to get out of your system. My top of the line PC that I use for VR and 144 FPS ray tracing cost over 2K, says Samantha says. Yeah, not that pricey. It does change based on where you are though, right? The other thing is, with the whole 144 FPS stuff, like, how many frames per second can your eyes see? I've talked about this a bunch of times, I've looked into it, and I never quite remember, because initially I was under the impression that above 60, like, doesn't really make a difference, but I think it's actually more like 90 is a bit more of a revised metric. Once you sort of reach 90, there's just, you know, no real extra returns or gains, or however you want to put it, on the frames that you're getting. Like, you're not really seeing them, but they are being calculated. They are part of the game. That's the stone material, isn't it? Just wedged in between. Need some legit stone for that one. For some reason I just can't fully put this shape that I'm building into my head yet, but we'll get there. So after that it's then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pretty sure. Above 60 doesn't make a difference if you have only a monitor that displays 60 Hz. I can notice 144 dips to 120, says Samantha says. Yeah, that might not be what you think, though. I'm aware that you need a display to show you those frames. Like right now we're hitting 88. So the reason that I cap mine at 90 is because if I send it the signal to try and produce more than 90 frames per second, it will tax other parts of the game and the computer. So if I'm not seeing more than 60 on this monitor, you know, I could put it at 70, but I give it a little buffer up to 90. But like, if you see a dip, what you might be seeing is that the computer is struggling to do something at the moment, right? Because what I'm talking about isn't about the refresh rate. I'm talking about the human eye. There's a bunch of studies done on it, you know, and I used to, like I said, I used to think it was 60, but then some people in my chat after waffling on about it said, no, it's higher than that, and I did some more research again, and there was some data saying that perhaps it's around 90 frames per second seems to be the cutoff point. The only thing beyond that is like responsiveness. So like having a computer that is performing at a higher frame rate, in theory, might have a marginal increase in response rate because it's actually like rendering that stuff. I'm doing it wrong again. I know I'm doing this wrong. Like there needs to be a better starting point for me to like properly build this, I think. Wait, I'm totally... No, that one's there. I think that's right. It's kind of awkward because I keep just walking back and forth. Getting some of these in at this level might help too. So yeah, I noticed that the gaming industry like pushes a lot of this super fast FPS stuff, and like you got to remember they're trying to sell products, and sometimes, you know, some of the stuff they're coming up with and telling you need isn't maybe as good as you need. Because I heard about this monitor that has like a 540 hertz refresh rate, and I just thought, like you're not gonna need that, right? Like, does the human eye get anything from that? Skibadoo says, I never used to get the hype behind a 144 monitor until I got one. Yeah, well, what did you jump from, though? Did you jump from 60 or 30 FPS? Like I said, the human eye sees 90, see, like, supposedly. So what you might be seeing is the jump from 60 to 90, essentially. I can't really say, like, for certainty, but I definitely looked into this stuff, and my takeaway is that, like, they're selling you frame rates that don't correspond to like the limit of the eye, but the responsiveness is the other thing. Personally, when my FPS goes below 90 in VR, I get motion sickness, as Samantha says. Dang, I reckon I haven't really done much of VR. I reckon I'd get motion sickness just using the damn thing. I wouldn't be surprised anyway. Yeah, I've kind of been like tempted to do something with VR for some time, like get a headset and check it out, but I really just can't justify it because I don't know, I'm not like magnetically compelled to it in any way. Like it's not terribly exciting. For me I just keep thinking it's going to have that like killer use case at some point where something comes along that makes you want to have one, like some game or some experience where it's like, oh, this is what VR is for, right? The killer app. When that comes along, I'll probably be interested, but it doesn't feel like I've seen that yet. It still feels like it's in that realm of being a little bit novel and not all that common yet. I'm just a nerd that's in love with Skyrim VR, to be fair. Well, I mean, if you're playing something you love on it, right? Like, that's the thing. If you found something you want to do on it, that's awesome. I haven't seen anything to compel me and bring me in yet. Oddness says, I tried 60, 144, 165 of racing games. It's pretty obvious in racing and fast-moving games. Yeah, I guess at some point I'll have to like try it IRL, like try and experience or see the difference myself to kind of know. You know, I'm also a little bit skeptical that they're always trying to sell you on new technology and stuff, and like these super fast refresh rate monitors are sort of all the craze, and I don't know. For a second, I thought Xisuma meant try racing IRL. I'm not really into cars or driving at all, but it's possible to do. You can go race Formula 1 cars and stuff. That's a thing you can do, like a day out. It's probably pricey, but it's, you know, it's a thing that they offer. Right, so after we got to repeat that pattern again, so now it's like 2 and a 3 over here. And all I'm really trying to do is just get to that section so I know how we're going to align it. Okay, so did I bring enough andesite? Possibly. We'll find out. Xisuma, I'm sorry, you probably get this question a lot, but how do you have those custom pickaxe and axe models? They look great. It's a resource pack. That's how you get custom textures going in this game. Right, put that over here. This is where all the wood goes again, right? All good, all good. And then this section again. How am I doing it? $602144 is magic. I'm not sure about higher refresh rates. I guess the differences get smaller and smaller just like other things, says Ardennes. I imagine I'll eventually, you know, at some point in time want to replace the monitors I've got, and maybe then I'll look at getting higher refresh rate. Right, and then it's the bit with my tunnel, and it looks like my tunnel is going to line up pretty well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we do this little bit again. What was it? 2 and 1. And then behind it. Uh-huh. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Might have miscounted that. Oops. What's opposite here? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. There you go. Just getting rid of some of these extra blocks, really, more than anything. Yeah. Right. So now we know where this is all aligned. That's pretty good. Put a bit more of this in. We can start to suss out how we're going to do this tunnel. I got a new monitor. It's 4K, 48-inch, 130Hz OLED. That's huge. On a PC, I noticed that like PC monitors don't tend to be as large as televisions, right? It's just the nature of how you use them and how close to them you are and stuff. See, the thing with having one as big as that is that you just have to sit further away from it. So like, in my mind, it would be more like, I don't know, getting a one and just getting the distance between you and it right. I remember a friend of mine had a... here's where it's all going to get weird. Do I want to actually maybe move it one section further over and have it come down in this area? Like, I don't know how I want to do that. We could have it hook up there. The problem also is in a straight line it comes to this height. So if we went a whole section further over, had it slowly go down, come into this room, you'd still need like this awkward way up here, which currently is a scaffold. Like what good ways of vertical transport are there in a space like that? Cybot says, but I have just one. You have 3, I think. Yeah, I've got 3. I guess I kind of guess it would be like, imagine it would be weird to focus your attention on just a part of the screen rather than the whole thing. So like if you have Minecraft running, then I guess it's just taking up a portion of the screen, not the whole thing. Wherever I am, I'm eating because I'm not here and I'm eating. Bruh, my PC monitor is just a TV, says Pitch Black Nights. Oh, okay. Yeah, my friend got a telly, put it in their room, and you had to sit so close to it, it was well uncomfortable to look at. Ultra-wide curved monitors spook me, not gonna lie. I got a curved TV once, like the TV before the one I currently have was curved, and like it was alright as one person looking at it, but as soon as you have multiple people watching it, like it immediately just distorted the image and just seemed like sort of pointless. And it didn't really feel like it gave you too much more being one person watching it, so kind of gave up on that idea. Like this thing being here, I'm not sure if I can move it higher or lower because of this portal, right? Like, yeah, I probably really don't want to mess with the portals like that at all. Anyway, vertical transport, chat, remind me of things. Like, you got ladders, you got scaffolding, we don't have water streams because we're in the Nether. Is it desk changing time? It's getting there actually. Slime block launchers. I'm not really in the mood for like an elaborate contraption just to get up here, right? Warped vines. That's an interesting one. You could try and make the room feel a little nethery and just have like a warped vine thing go up there. After a while, monitors get too big and don't have a wide range of vision to see it all. That's kind of what I was thinking, right? Like, I have 3 monitors, but I can't look at them all at the same time. I can only look at one at a time. Glow lichen. You can't climb up glow lichen, can you? Well, I think we'll try the warped vines and then do something nethery down here. So that means we want to bring it down to this level, have a patch of warped vines as you enter the room to go up to the nether portal. Maybe we can make the ceiling of this look interesting. So it turns out we are going to need our thing to actually be, let's say, here. I'm a bit wary of that over there now. So if we go in a straight line, that should give us enough space. So we'll actually move it over to here. Now this was going to be the one with the blocks in it, yeah. Okay, so it's going to be 2, 3, 2. And that can go there. Music's quite quiet. Yeah, that's because we're listening to Dream State Logic. It's just naturally quieter than the other movie, than the other musics, because it is very ambienty. Right, my work there's done. This is where we're going to be digging over here. Still in range of the beacon, that's fortunate. And then a big drop to death. Absolute death down there. Don't want to know about it. Don't want to know about it. What about the distance? That thing is coming towards me, isn't it? Get away, sucker. What I'm not going to do, I don't think I'm going to try and time this thing so like the slope arrives at the perfect spot. I think what we'll do is we'll just make it so that it gets there in enough distance. So we're at 162 going up. 262, we're not even there yet. So we could do this over... Oh yeah, that's the other thing, the height difference. So 92 needs to go down to around 70-ish. Maybe even lower. So maybe every 4 blocks, I reckon. Sounds about right. I was gonna... You know, this flying tool is just great for going and having a look at something. So our tunnel... We'll probably step up like we did the last one. So we'll go up into that space. Wait, which way am I facing? The wrong way, always. Always the wrong way. So we'll like step up into here and go up one more block. Actually, I think no, we'll just start here. Otherwise, why go up when we need to go down? So let's say it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do this in the middle. 1, 2, 3 thought. Right, our thing now is just to build a path at this level and see where it ends up. See if we got it right, you know? It's another classic game of measuring blocks in a block-based game, I guess. Right, this gives me an opportunity to say, hit the follow button if you enjoyed today's stream. We got 580 peeps tuned in. Be sure to hit the follow button if you are enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, guess what? Hit that follow button anyway. You know? Why not? Also, check out linktree.xisumavoid.co if you want more entertainment, more things from me. There's all sorts of links to things that I've done in the past, content you might not be aware of, other channels, all sorts of interesting stuff. We're still working on that website as well. It got an update today, so it looks a bit different, and then a lot of what's on there is going to change over the next week or so as well. Still refining it, but then it'll be like your one-stop for everything Xisuma, so feel free to bookmark that if you want. Gooferin, thank you ever so much for the Amazon Prime, and Dr. Shaggy, thank you for the Prime as well. I am now standing, by the way, and yes, you can use your Amazon Prime subscription to subscribe to someone on the old Twitch. Do you know what I did today? I got free deliveries for a year with Amazon Prime. I mean, that's not bad if you already got Prime. Peeps, don't forget to hydrate. Sneezy Anus says, already hit that follow button a couple of months back. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. It's free. It doesn't mean you have to tune in every time. You know, just hit it. Maybe one day you'll have nothing to do. You'll see I'm streaming. It might be a good time. Don't like the idea of wandering back over here and just falling aimlessly into the abyss either, so we'll do that. Oh, and it is like dark and gloomy in here, right? Let's fix that up. We can make a change for that. Footlong Hawk says, oh my god, I love these animations. They're so cool, right? They're so cool. Is coffee hydration? Well, it's made with water, so I imagine so. Let's now grab a light source of some sort. Like, what's the most awkward light source to place? Torches, place on everything. Lanterns, not so much. Can't place them on the side of blocks. Yeah, I kind of feel like lanterns probably the most awkward light source. There should be one. Actually, this makes no sense because of how the game actually works, but like, I was going to say there should be one that you can't place, but like the game doesn't render light normally. We've got a mod for that when it's in your offhand. So now things are a bit brighter, but that's because of a mod. Just convenience mods, as always. Ah, and speaking of convenience, now I've got to go down here. Into the inconvenient Basalt Delta. That's 3 blocks, isn't it? And then we go one lower. Oh, now it's a ghost! God, I'm going to have such a great time today, aren't I? Oh, now I've accidentally let the lava flow. Okay, that wasn't too fatal. Right, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gotta go down by 1. Old school jack-o'-lanterns. Yeah, they used to be tricky to place, didn't they? Seem to remember something about that. Seawater is also made with water, but not very hydrating now, is it? Yeah, why is that? Now, what I mean is, like, seawater is seawater, whereas coffee is probably not made with seawater, right? It's made with water, you know, out of the tap or whatever. So, you know, mixing it with coffee remove its hydration effects? Like, is that a thing? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm just being openly curious. To me, it would strike me as not being that way around, but, you know, what do I know? What do I know, eh? I just play this silly little blocky game. Salt is anti-hydration. Yeah, okay. Unless you salt your coffee. I mean, how much salt are we talking about in a coffee? Come on now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my god, I was totally holding shift. I was totally holding shift and it just let me go anyway. Which is a bit bonkers because I haven't had any connection issues today. Usually that happens on a day where you got connection issues. I was totally holding shift the whole time. My finger never let off and it was just like, nope. Down you go. Oh, and now it's going to get real awkward to build because we're just out here. Like in the middle of nowhere. Heart rate increasing, says Crappy Toast. Yeah. That's the issue. Get that sudden, sudden adrenaline. Anyways, I have something to talk about. Not that it's terribly interesting. We were talking about Star Trek last stream. I was watching a video about Voyager. I was thinking YouTube. You know, give me something to watch, something to listen to. And it fed me up this cool video about Voyager and the show and opinions on it and stuff like that. And then it mentioned that The Rock was in an episode, right? You know, The Rock. Right, not a rock. Gosh. The Rock. You know what I'm talking about. The one who smells what you're cooking. That guy. Oh my god. And it was... I think it was kind of like around the time when he was sort of... Oh... God, I need a golden helmet now, do I? It was around the time when he was a big deal in WWE. So I felt like his presence was maybe like... You know, a kind of... here's someone doing something big over here. Let's, you know, have them in our show. It would be a little bit of fun. That kind of thing, maybe. Sneezy Anus says, Star Trek is really meh for me personally. I'm more into comedy and sci-fi. Well, Star Trek is comedy, right? Sorry, sci-fi. Let's go like this. Star Trek is just amazing. Like the 90s arc of that show. Never got into the stuff before it, and the stuff after it has been pretty pants, to be frank. Like, maybe not the worst thing ever, but can't exactly say Discovery and Picard have made that much of an impression. They've just felt like sort of reasonable types of show that suit the era today, with the Star Trek thing attached to it. But those 90s shows that they did, oh my god, so good. Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, really terrific. And I've just been watching some of it again and loving it. But yeah, I watched the episode where The Rock's in it. There's a couple of, like in Deep Space Nine, there was a couple of characters you know from other shows, like the guy in Breaking Bad, the old guy, the former cop, the dodgy detective. I, for some reason, forget his name. Is it Mike? Or is that his actual IRL name? That guy's like in as a cameo. Well, you wouldn't have called it a cameo. He was just like a temporary character for an episode in Deep Space Nine, and a few other faces pop up like that. But yeah, The Rock was just in an episode of Voyager, and he was a character that does some fighting, let's say. Theo Pinkerston, thank you ever so much for your Amazon Prime subscription, my dude. Appreciate you using that on me. Thank you ever so much. Generation was always my favourite. Next Generation, yeah. I watched Voyager like 5 times, never noticed The Rock. What? It's season 6. It's like episode, I don't know, maybe 14, somewhere around there. And the name of the episode is it Tanakutsi or something? Tananuxi? I don't know. There's an SE on the end of the word, and it sounds a little bit like I was just saying. It's got a really good ending, that episode, actually. Really kind of like gratifying little point to close the story on. But yeah, I've always loved that 90s era of Star Trek, mainly just because of Next Generation. But since then I've grown an appreciation for the other ones. I watched a bit of Voyager back in the day, but never Deep Space Nine. The Rock was in Voyager because UPN brought rights to WWE and wanted to make sure everyone knew about it, says Dweller Benfus. Oh, interesting. There's a bit of a story behind this. Fascinating. Yeah, I mean, like, the fact that the timing meant he was a big deal in WWE, to me, made that more significant. It wasn't like he's getting a job, you know, before. He hasn't made his break yet, and he's got a job on, you know, an offer on Star Trek to come play a little storyline character or something. Sun Katsi, says Jorman Gadar. That's the one. You've spelt it correctly. I've probably butchered the pronunciation. Yeah, I watched that today. I just thought, yeah, there we go. Let's try that one. It was a pretty good episode. Yeah, everyone should absolutely give The Next Generation a try. It's such an amazing show. To be fair, I think it has like a pretty sort of poor introduction, the way it gets started, but like once you get into things and you start to learn the characters and you see them go on some stories, there's some amazing stuff that takes place in The Next Generation. What are you up to? I just got home from school, question mark, says Kaylee. Are you confused? Did you just get home from school? You're not sure. I know what you're saying. I am building. Oh gosh, I'm giving myself heart attacks. I'm building a new tunnel in the Nether. That's what we're doing generally. Yeah, at the moment I'm just kind of like flicking through some Voyager episodes, and you know, I definitely watched the first 2 seasons. I know that, and then after that, I'm not really sure. I think what I might do is like do a sort of like rough watch through. Skip the episodes you know you've seen. If there's ones that you haven't and they're like decently rated, then maybe, yeah, okay, let's give that a try. And then I definitely want to see how the show concludes, because I do know how it concludes. I just don't really remember if I watched a lot of the last episodes or not. So I might do a bit of that. Is basalt gas proof? It is, yes. Ooh. They are all problems of the day and tackle real life issues that don't seem to be timeless, says Doc. I think if you make any sort of conversation or artistic expression or statement even, or anything about these sorts of topics, they never are timeless, right? Like, if you think of something truly timeless, there may come a time where it becomes irrelevant for whatever reason. I think Star Trek was way more progressive and pushed some really great ideas about seeing the best in humanity. And that was, like, I guess, maybe a bit more uncommon at the time. So it was quite an endearing show for that. Hey, we've got some gifted subs coming in. And a lot of the stories and the morals they try to portray, they all seem pretty decent within the time context. Some of them do age a little poorly. JS Scully says Voyager improved with 7 of 9. Borg, in my opinion. That was the opinion of the video that I watched, that her character really sort of saved the show. And I would, having not gotten too deep into it, would agree. Just because I think the way she has like so much synergy with different characters that it kind of gave all the characters a sort of new lens to interact through and made things interesting. So, Nuka Rapture, thank you ever so much for gifting some subs. Greatly appreciate you doing that, supporting me, supporting the community. Thank you for your generosity. Nico Name, Ardenus35, Big Papa House, NP Beans, Yosempa, Come On Free Y, Alex and Adam, Inflamma Tora Nortaris. Oh god, I'm butchering some. Limeton Fulter and Entropy DMB. Y'all been gifted subs. Be sure to say thanks in that chat. And thank you again, Nuka Rapture. Appreciate you. Have you watched Stranger Things? Yes, I've watched all of that show. Did I miss desk time? I am already standing. You missed it. You'll have to wait for another stream to see the desk move. The precious desk move. Yeah, anyway, cool show. Definitely going to watch some more of it. And I think next week I'm going to watch... I got some stuff going on next week, so I won't be able to stream as much and whatnot, I think. I don't know. It depends how it all goes. Don't know what to expect. But going to watch Band of Brothers. Absolutely love that series. And the follow-up, The Specific, as well. That's like... There's these great TV shows that come out over time, right? You know, The Wire, Sopranos was one of those big changes. Breaking Bad. And Band of Brothers is another one that's just utterly incredible. Really great, like TV, you know, series, mini-series. They're like at the dawn of doing these 10-part, basically films, right? How many TV shows are sort of like 10-part films these days? That's kind of what Band of Brothers is, and I've watched it like 2 or 3 times already. Awesome. One to go back to every now and then. Right, am I lower than I need to be? This is a precarious place to stop moving. I think I might just be exactly where I want to be. That being said, the bottom of this room, I could probably... Oh, okay, time to move. I think that'll do for now. Oh yeah, some people wanted to know if this were gas-proof. Like, is that gonna... Yeah, there you go, it's gas-proof. Ow! He hit me in the bum! And again! So rude! So this thing needs to be wider, I guess. I just rewatched Band of Brothers this week. Forgot how good it is, says Corey. Yeah. I know what you mean. Like, I know it's good, and I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to be like, oh my god, this is way better. Like, than I remember. That's how it is every time you watch it. It's just one of those greats. I do like my sort of World War II related stuff. It's such a crazy, fascinating part of history, human history, really. The movie I'm going to watch today is Downfall, which is a German movie about Hitler's like final hours in the bunker. There was this there was this whole thing like a couple of years after that movie came out where people like really heavily memed it, and I think like in today's day and age when you put out a movie or a show, you almost want people to meme it. You understand that like, oh, this is how things spread and this is good for you. But back then they didn't understand that, and they tried to shut the memes down. And how I discovered the movie was through the memes, because I had a PlayStation 3. We're talking 2006, I think. Oh, is that the 999 movie, says Lucro. I imagine he says that at some point in the movie. Yeah, I heard about Downfall. Sounds really interesting, says Crappy Toast. If that kind of topicality is in any way like something that interests you, I'd say Downfall is like essential watching. It's just such an incredible performance. And obviously like a very sensitive one. I think it was like quite a big deal for them to do the movie as Germans, which in some ways it shouldn't be, but like the way that country grapples with its past is kind of like a big deal, you know. So yeah, they like wanted to shut these memes down. So there was this day where the PlayStation 3 network went offline, and I was trying to find out what was happening, and everyone was sharing this video of like Hitler in his bunker with his generals going raving mad over why the PlayStation 3 network there was down. And it was the funniest thing. I couldn't stop watching it. I was like, what is this? Like, how is this a thing? This is hilarious. Like, the idea that, you know, Hitler's around and he's getting mad about his PlayStation 3 or whatever. It was just so absurd. And then obviously you want to know more. You're like, well, where's this from? What is this? And you find out, oh, okay, so there's this movie, and they made it in German, and they didn't hard code the English subs, which means the video footage of it doesn't have the subtitles on, and it's just the most perfect footage to just put your own subtitles to, right? And then I started looking into it, and I went into this like rabbit hole of that meme being used for so many other situations. And then like one of the problems with memes is like heavy saturation. Like it got tired quick, right? You're like, oh, okay, I get the joke after a while. But one of the last times that joke was sort of like relevant was the people that made the movie were trying to shut the meme down so hard that these things just kept disappearing off of YouTube. And eventually someone was like, well, I'm going to make the downfall meme of downfall. And it's like, you know, the subtitles are basically Hitler's getting mad about how the memes keep getting taken down. And I think to this day they still take them off. Like if anyone ever posts it on YouTube, they just get rid of it. So they certainly haven't embraced that aspect of it. And maybe there's a good reason behind why as well. But yeah, and that was the whole thing, like this whole downfall meme. Is anyone here like remember that, or even the PlayStation 3 outages and then that meme getting shared? It was a long time ago, 2006 I reckon. We've been raided, by the way. PLJ95, thank you so much for the raid, and welcome all the raiders. Greatly appreciated. If you want to know what we're up to, we're just grinding out a new Nether tunnel here on the Hermitcraft Nether. And you know, taking it easy, hanging out, talking about this and that. I've been on somewhat of a enforced break as of late. Just trying to get like my head some space to figure things out. And so we've been popping on here, streaming, just doing some simple stuff and chatting about TV shows and keeping things simple and easy, you know. It's a classic, yeah, says the YOLP. Becca remembers it, awesome. Definitely remember the meme a lot, says Anafra. There you go, some of you remember the meme, that's cool. Haven't played PlayStation since PS3 outage. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, it was a big deal. I don't really remember the specifics. I remember the meme being the big thing that happened. But yeah, it was like, it was a big enough outage that like, people were talking about it a lot. It wasn't like it couldn't have been like a one-day thing, surely not. Because it had a lot of people like Googling, trying to find out what's going on, and then that allowed the memes to spread and stuff. Yeah. Different times, the internet back then. The further back you go, it always looks so much more innocent. Simpler times and all that. But I tell you what's really helped for me. I've really cut back on what I choose to consume. Much less like following the story of the day and the opinions about it. I've noticed that like the way things are covered these days is very live and also heavily wrapped up in opinion. So something's barely happened, and as soon as like information about something that's happening is coming out, there's just like this what would you call it, where everyone like just sort of piles on. Well, it's like, yeah, like a pile-on. It's like a pile-on of opinion. Everyone's just throwing their bodies onto like a big pile. It's like a big mess, and it just seems so unhealthy. And I was thinking about how like you learn about the past quite often through like documentaries and well-researched information, people trying to piece together what happened. And due to the pace of media, which has accelerated greatly, you know, that probably happens slower and slower the further back you go in time. I remember like it would be years and years after something happened that there'd be a movie about it or a documentary about it, whereas now it feels like, I don't know, sometimes it's down to months or a year and then like the movie's being made about it. How was your break, by the way? I hope you're feeling better. The pictures you shared are fascinating, says Skipperdo. I'm still on my break. I'm still figuring things out. I am just... Yeah, I'm just... you know, this week I could have perhaps started doing some recording again, but I decided to really, like, not do that and give myself plenty of time to think. And things are starting already to settle a little bit, but it's interesting, just deliberately taking yourself out of that creator space. I'm finding that, like, I'm not sure if I really want to go into this because I want to give myself a bit more time. But I'm kind of finding that, that, I don't know. Yeah, now I won't go into it. I'm still trying to figure a lot of this stuff out in my head. But, you know, I'm doing good. I'm doing alright. I think this is the reason that teaching history in school is so important, because it teaches you about how things have worked in the past, so you understand the present better, says Crappy Toast. I almost agree with you, but like when you say in school, my experience of learning history in school is really quite dull, and like just learning facts about stuff that happened ages ago. Like what I imagine we need is like more interactive, like not just history, but the why of history, why it's important to know about it, what it means to know about it, who writes it, why do they write it, like, and realizing that, you know, you interact with history, you have perceptions about what the world is, what things mean, and what came from the past, and with all of that, like, you need an education around it, you need good ideas to interact with that stuff. So yeah, I started just saying that, like, I've really cut back on consuming news, consuming videos that are topical and of the day or of the controversy, and just trying to get more to, like, let's say comfort and creative things, educational things, but nothing too in any form of like controversy or thing that people keep talking about, you know, like just trying to stay away from all that drama and news. And honestly, it's like, it's starting to feel like the world is a better place. Which is not a feeling of saying it is a better place. It's just, like I feel like things are better. Like I've just been reflecting a lot on the pandemic as well. I think there's a lot of like unresolved feelings from what we've been through with the pandemic, and it really does feel like a before and after. A lot of what I'm saying might be like, well, obviously, right? Oh yeah, do I want to make this one higher? That was something I was thinking. But like when an event, like you have, I feel like I was sort of chugging along, going at a particular pace, doing this thing, you know. Certain ideas are in your head. Yeah, I think I'm going to raise this. Yeah, we're probably going to put carpets down, so I'm going to raise this all up by one. You know, and then there's this like thing that happens that, I mean, in a ways it could be similar to like a death in the, oh my god, death in the family, or just something that like takes you out of your rhythm and like changes everything all of a sudden. And it really, like, I think I've been just reflecting on what all of that is and what it means. And the weird thing I think for me with the pandemic is that it brought about something really good at a time that was like, frankly, quite scary and difficult for all of us. And that good thing was just, you know, obviously like an explosion of interest in what I do and viewership and stuff. And that's not me talking about numbers and that kind of thing and money or whatnot. It's more like I love doing this video creating thing, and then all of a sudden it explodes and gets really big and loads of people are into it, and that's like really fun and like an awesome time. But that happens in the middle of like this weird time where you're not seeing anyone, you're just like cooped up inside a lot and just going hardcore on this thing that you love. And now I'm starting to feel like it's changed so many relationships and dynamics, and it's changed the way my mind is. Like there's a before and after to it as a creator and as a person, and I'm starting to really grapple with that because I've just, the past half a year, just more and more I notice like, oh, I didn't see a mask today, or like, oh, like there was that moment where you're like, today's the first day I didn't think about the fact that we've been through a pandemic, right? Like, you have that in life, you have problems and things that you deal with, and then they become the past, and then you start to notice the difference. I've just been doing that a lot, and I've been realizing that like, Oh yeah, I used to go to gigs loads, and I used to do this thing and that thing, and like, what happened to all of that? Even World War II, most don't know what started it and how it happened, says the DVS51. I think people quite clearly understand how World War II was started. World War I can be a little more dubious, but World War II, I think it's like pretty set in stone. We know what the cause of that was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that, like, I can interpret something else you were trying to say there, but like, I don't get that at all. I don't get what you're trying to say. Like, I think World War II is a clear start and end. What you could say though is perhaps as an individual, like, historically you can look back and see the start and end of it. Living through the moment, maybe, yeah, maybe it's more like, okay, you lot all just scared about this guy or whatever, and the things saying, you know, oh, it's just fear-mongering, and then slowly, bit by bit, you know, you learn, oh, maybe it's not. And then certain groups of people are victimized, and their realities change. If you look at it from that perspective, then sure, you know. The DVS, if they did, they wouldn't be pushing socialism and Marxist doctrine. I feel like you're coming in here to like push a point, and it's probably one I don't care for too much. Like, for me, different political systems and ideological systems and economic systems, I prefer discussion around them that is like trying to be, I don't know, in good faith and show what these different systems are about, and to be educational, and not to perhaps try and just like sway you into being on a side about this debate or whatever. Like, personally, I'm interested in hearing different ways about the way in which the world can be run, but I'm not here to like plant a flag in the ground or anything about it. And so what I commonly see is just like, you know, using history and world events to sort of straw man certain ideologies or whatever. Apparently the First World War was called the Great War before a Second World War was started. Yeah, so the Great War was the war to end all wars, and it comes from a time where people actually like wanted to go to war. That was the general atmosphere. There was a lot of tension in Europe, which I can't really reiterate too well because it's just, I don't know, the geopolitics of a time over 100 years ago, right? Like, there's all these different tensions and treaties between countries and stuff, and then there was this assassination, and it just gave Europe an excuse to go to war. But it was from a time where people didn't really see war. It was always fought at a distance, and so when people were told that we need to go to war, you know, for our great country or whatever, it was easier to convince people. But after World War, the First World War, you know, I think people really saw the atrocities of what happened come home. There was chemical warfare, there was you know, a massive war of attrition, and people really felt that, and so that was sort of the turning tide of a changing opinion about war. We now see so much of it and know so much of it, it disgusts most people, and we want to avoid war. Whereas that comes from an era where, you know, wars and victories and grabbing land was sort of the way in which the ruling class would have, you know, run the country and convince people that we needed to go to war for our country and our cause. And now that we're more globally connected, we know that actually, turns out all these other countries, they're just filled with people like us, right? And the enemy isn't full of all these boogeymen that want to come kill us or whatever the propaganda was. No, it was the biggest war. That's why it's called the Great War, says Hamp2199. I believe it. Yeah, it may have been the biggest war, you know, of the time. As I understood it, though, they called it the Great War while it was happening. Like, it was the war to end all wars was sort of a sentiment, sort of said at the time. look, I'm not a historian, and I don't know who's messaging me and what they know about it, but I've like gone quite deep into World War One. There was this channel called The Great War that did a when it was 100 years ago from when it started. So what is this? 2014 to 2018, 19, I think, is the era of the Great War. They started a YouTube channel where week by week they covered the events on a week by week basis. It was such an incredible experience. I followed it for like the full 5 years and learned so much about it. I'm not going to claim that my memory's perfect or anything, but hopefully I'm doing some service to all the things that they taught us. In fairness, war was a constant state of life. Still is around the world, says Anathra. I don't think that statement makes too much sense, because like it depends on where you are in the world if there's war or not, and the amount of conflict has decreased. And when I say these things, you know, it over time it's decreased. And yes, there's a war, like another war going on in the world right now. Like the path of progress is a bumpy one. It's not smooth. It's not a straight line. It has ups and downs. But there was a lot more conflict in the past than there has been in recent history. And that's part, I think, of like becoming a more global community and having more understanding and access to knowledge and seeing more of the world. Just, I think it makes it harder for wars to happen when you know more about what's going on around you. Maybe what's happening at the moment is challenging that a bit. It's quite sad. So next, I think we can just sort of focus on design, really. It's such a big tunnel, it's like just going to be a simple old layout, probably. Democratic peace theory. Democratic countries are much less likely to go to war with each other. Yeah, that seems to be so. I haven't delved too deep into something like that, but yeah. Amon Unimix says, maybe in first world countries, but a lot of third world countries have been in constant conflict over the past century. Yeah, I'm talking about globally speaking, in terms of statistics. Like, there is information on this. Like, you can always disclaim the veracity of the information, right? I haven't done my own hands-on calculations and maths and stuff. I like to, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt, essentially. But yeah, there are people out there like tracking conflict and war in the world, and you know, numerically it's gone down, is supposedly how it is. And I'm not trying to say that's okay for where there is war. It's just to have a good perspective on it, you know. Like, there's a lot of people in this current day and age, doom and gloom. The world's a horrible place, you know, romanticism for the past and stuff, whereas I think like we get it wrong a lot of the time. We don't realize like how brutal the starting conditions of life are and how we're still just crawling out of it and we're making progress. But like, yeah, there's all sorts of suffering and injustice in the world you can go see. But that's because we've come out of the woods, we've come out of the fields. Life used to be so much more tough and brutal, and there were so many more ways you could die and get killed, and now you can live for longer and have medicine, and food is just no longer a daily struggle. Like, not for everyone, of course, but there's been so much progress. I just get a little disheartened that sometimes you can focus on the negative too much and miss out on, actually, there's like a whole bunch of reasons to be, you know, to see good in the world that we've done. Right, I'm not sure really what to do for palette here. Christopher Blue, thank you ever so much for the Prime. Appreciate you. Hope you're entertained, enjoying the stream, having a good time, all of that stuff. Thank you for subscribing. So we're going to use carpets, right? And I'm just thinking black carpet on the floor, or maybe like a dark grey or something. That allows us to use bone meal to get some more drops, which I think is a fair point. That's going to be useful. And I've probably got enough bone meal in my base. I need to probably AFK and get some more, which I'll do at the end of this stream. So yeah, and I don't really want to, like, I don't want these magma cubes spawning, but if I put the carpets down and ghast starts shooting at me, that's going to be a pain. Oh, we got another one over there as well. I'm actually going to log out. All of a sudden, I just really need to go to the toilet, so, you know, we'll figure out what we're doing when I get back. Don't go anywhere, peeps, you know. I'll be right back. I am back, peeps. I am back. There was a message that I read in my chat just before I left that caught my eye about Generation Z, Gen Z, and them being pessimistic and whatnot. When there is a lot in the world to be thankful of. I think, you know, the reason there's a lot of pessimism in this current generation is because we are clearly going through a sort of shift in how wealth is distributed, and we've got a generation of people that I think are probably more disadvantaged than the ones that came before them. Now, if it stays that way for a long time, or if things turn back round again, you know, it's yet to be seen. And it's always like, if you imagine the starting point is low and then you go really high, right? Like, imagine a graph and then you come down a bit, right? We might go back up, right? Now, if you're in that bit where it goes down a bit, like Gen Z are, you can look at it as like, well, we still came all the way up here. So, like, there's a lot to be thankful for. But your perspective is, like, generally relative to where you currently are. So, like, they're seeing the dip, right? They're seeing things start to fall apart. Will it plummet down to nothing? Probably not, but I can understand why there's pessimism. I just think it's good to have like a fuller picture and to understand all the different ways of looking at it, because you can still be there's still, you know, great reasons to be upset and whatnot. Just having that fuller picture might be helpful. I don't know what to do here. I keep thinking I might just continue with the design that I had for the other tunnels. Like, it goes to a temporary farming area. I'm not really sure we can do anything too magnificent with that, you see. I'm not quite sure how that looks. I reckon it will be helpful for me to go just take a screenshot of the other tunnel quickly, actually. So we'll do that, and then we'll have like a reference on hand. I'm generation label free, agree free, timeless. We don't talk about age here, says Becca. Yeah, I mean, having a mindset of seeing your own age for yourself is perfectly fine, but it's just helpful to talk in terms of generations, because there are trends and economic realities that have impacted like broad generations of people, right? Baby boomers, for example, have probably like lived through the biggest sort of accumulation of wealth and whatnot. But, you know, like because of technology, some of the people today who are just being born, there might be other metrics that become more valuable. So like, you can, if let's like it's like this. Let's say I could say, would you like to be a billionaire in the 1800s, right? Now at first you might be thinking, yeah, but then think about like all the technology that they had access to and how your billions couldn't buy what you have today, right? So it could be that, you know, Gen Z is born today might on average live to over 100 because of technological breakthroughs in understanding of aging and things like that, right? And some people might say, well, that'll only be for the rich. The thing is, like, the newest and most novel stuff is always, you know, for the rich first, and then eventually, slowly, prices come down, things are figured out how to make them more efficiently and whatnot, and then, you know, more equal access to stuff. So there's many different metrics and ways you can just look at how things are shaped and put together, I guess. That doesn't help that news online gets clicks by focusing on things that make people angry or feel superior to others. That encourages a unhealthy view of both ourselves and others, says Alpha Opposer. Yeah, there's definitely a negative bias, a sort of incentivization of sensationalization and things that draw your attention, which do tend to be negative. It is a really troubling time from that perspective, these things that we have to grapple through, but I do really feel like the best of humanity is what will prevail and shine, and like maybe I don't have a good explanation as to why I think that. That's just kind of like my gut reaction, I guess. To be fair, the news has always been that way. Yes, it's a problem, but it really has always been like that, sadly, says Null Void Face. Yeah, I remember someone found like an article of someone in the early 1900s writing about how, like, stop reading the news, take a break, it's all terrible stories, just, you know, you'll feel so much better if you stop reading the newspaper. And it's like, wow, we're saying the same sorts of things today, you know. I think I do actually. I keep looking at the tunnel design and thinking, yeah, let's change it up a little bit. Let's not do the same thing again. I reckon using some mangrove wood could be interesting over here. I've got a big box of that. We could grab some of that. Just not sure how to go about the rest of it. Try and do something with some different blocks. Maybe use some blackstone. There seems to be plenty of that around here. Let's mess about with some things, you know. Blackstone and who knows what else. I'm trying to think of how it might tie up with the room down the bottom, but I think we'll keep these designs separate. It would probably be just the easier way to go forward. Quite like that. Put some of these down the side or something. Actually, if you think about it from another perspective, the worldwide growing distrust in mainstream media can be seen as a good thing, since it means the audience is more skeptical and less likely to blindly believe what they are told, making them harder to be manipulated. Yeah, it really could swing that way, right? Like, increased skepticism could be good for some things or other. I remember there was always like this strange sort of blindness to attitudes towards government in, let's say, like the 50s and 60s. Very like just a vibe, just a feeling that you get from sort of observing, let's say, American culture. I'm mostly thinking of, where speaking out against the government was just not a thing that people did. And there are plenty of like stories and abuses of power that really kind of like show you the negativity of that. These things can just swing in both ways, though, right? Like when there's so much distrust, and we have distrust in our institutions, that can lead to damage and things too. So it's always one of those, you know, in 10 or 20 years we might be looking back going, what were we worried about, you know? Even with stuff like deepfakes, can seem extremely troubling, but at the same time, yeah, it just could lead to people being way more cautious and smarter. It could lead to more of a trust in personal relationships, where you know people, you know, face to face, one-on-one and stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, contrarianism against mainstream media very often, perhaps largely, sends people to worse information sources. Yeah, I could see that being a problem too. And I think the key word you said there, though, was contrarianism. I feel like I have a bit of like a bit of a radar for like spotting that kind of contrarian take on things all the time. There are certain outlets that feel like they really feed into that, but I don't know. You know, we can go out there and we can see the worst of things. I watched this movie, This Place Rules, by Channel 5 News, aka All Gas No Breaks, And it's really alarming. I really appreciate what he like does as a journalist. Really lets people, you know, tell you their own way of seeing the world without interfering. And I think that's really important because it's so easy to like step on some of these people who have clearly got some bizarre ideas going around. In fact, one of the people in the show that he like follows and talks to, he actually like looks into their history and really pins down like what the issue is behind why this person has their beliefs and chooses to confront them with it, which is not something I've seen him do before. And I think it was a real moment where you couldn't really go wrong with that. Like, you'd really sussed out why this person is the way they are, and you could present them with that, and they wouldn't really have a way to refute it. Very interesting moment. I'm sort of speaking in a way to like not spoil it for anyone who's going to choose to watch it. But he shows the fringes. He shows like what you could say, air quotes, is the worst of what we see today, like these political shouting matches between groups of people on the streets of cities. But these are always like such small groups of people. Like it doesn't take a lot of energy to break something, right? It doesn't take a lot of people to make you feel like your country's full of crazy people or something, right? And so you have these interactions, these interviews with some of these fringes, and they're just fascinating. It's just fascinating to see what ideas infiltrate people and what they care about and how they choose to express it. And it's really disheartening in general just to see groups of people going out and having like shouting matches on the streets. It's like we have so much more in common than that. We have so much more commonality. We just get hyper focused on these sort of sensitive topics and treat it like it's a war. It's crazy. Veritai says Shashwami and his talks. Oh whoa. What does that mean? Me and my talks. Am I waffling too much? Guto0604, thank you so much for the Prime. Appreciate ya. Hope you're enjoying the stream and having a good one. Oh, there we go. We're out of Blackstone for now. Yeah, we don't need to place more of those. We need to focus a little bit more on the design, I think. We're all just stardust on a big rock after all. Sometimes we need to take a breather or two. I'm on an extended breather at the moment. I'm having a breather. I was listening to a podcast with Mr. Beast, who went on Lex Friedman. Really great chemistry between the two of them. And Lex is always just asking really fascinating questions. I don't really watch a lot of Mr. Beast's content, but I love watching him get interviewed and him talk about what he does. Really interesting guy. Love his attitude and how he's sort of managed to do what he's achieved. Just really quite incredible. It definitely started steering my mind back into that creator mindset a little bit, but I had to like settle myself down and like, hey, you know, let's stop thinking about that. Like, it's not everything. Creating isn't everything. The Green Elf 7, thank you ever so much for subscribing. Appreciate it, my dude. There was this moment where Mr. Beast was like, yeah, sometimes you just got to stop and recharge. And like hearing it from like one of the top, you know, YouTube grinders who's just absolutely obsessed with doing this and has made incredible success. It was really nice to hear him say that. Like, it just clicks so much more, you know? A guy like Mr. Beast who's just sort of relentless also just turns off and takes a break when he knows when to do it. Another thing about a lot of what he was saying about his activities and stuff is it just reminded me, like, it sounds so much more organic, like, you know, doing what you feel like in the moment. And I don't do a lot of that. Like, I tell you what, like, every day I sort of wake up and go straight into like stretches and exercise and working out, and all that stuff's good and it works, but like sometimes I wonder, like, if I wake up with an idea, I don't know how to follow it. I've always got this other thing, so I kind of wake up in a weird space where I know immediately what's next. And I think it might be healthy to maybe just wake up not knowing what I'm going to do, and if something inspirational is there, then like go for it, and maybe do all that stretching and working out later in the day or something. I don't know. Like, there is something really good about doing something in the moment. I'm not really seeing any blocks here that are... that being said, actually, bone blocks would be pretty perfect for where we're going. We could put some diorite walls in there too, to like change up the shape. I like Sir Jemin's reply to a message here. So, can I find the original? Avex Scar says, X, have you ever thought of making a podcast or something? Your talks are really interesting. So Jemin says, this is his podcast. Yeah, aren't you? You're tuned into the podcast right now. You're tuned in. I'm really glad I figured that one out for myself. I realized at one point that I don't need a podcast because this is the way I podcast, right? If I have an equivalent of doing a podcast, this is it right now. Liger, good to see you, my dude. 32 months. Thank you for all you're doing over at the Linktree. Liger doing the coding and the rearranging of my ideas. Peeps, go check out linktree.xisuma.co, and that'll be your like one-stop bookmark for everything I do and everything I've done. All these cool things. There's loads of stuff linked there, and going to be working on that. Getting expanded. So I like the idea of this being mangrove wood with bone in between. The bones, like, it means a very flat wall. So we could put this color here, and we could do like an alternate thing as well. Maybe then we can mess about with just having some diorite walls in between to like change it up a little bit as we go along. Maybe even in the ceiling the bone blocks might be extended. Okay, I think we're starting to pull together some good ideas. I love this podcast. First time I record it. But this is so nice, gotta say, says Noel Voidface. Thank you, my dude, appreciate it. Yeah, every now and then, like, I just really get lost in talking. But I really like that. It just helps me get things off my chest and my mind. You can probably tell I just think a bit too much and stuff. But I'm just constantly, like, curious about the world. So, what were we talking about? Like, because we jumped to, like, Mr. Beast and creator stuff again, but we were talking about how crazy the world seems, but, like... It's only ever like a smaller portion that gets amplified. I more and more increasingly think about like how many good things people do in the world every day, and like how much there is to be like thankful for, and how we're pushed to focus on negativity, and perhaps you know, like, we're not great at measuring these things in proportion. Right, I think we're done with the andesite. So, the salt was for building that sort of base layer. We're not really going to go back to that, are we? So, diorite and bones. Okay, so then we've already got our wood over there. We also have a box of mangrove wood. Now, I let Pixel Riffs use some of this stuff. And he might have it unless I've put it somewhere that I don't. And he's not on the server anymore, which is kind of concerning. I could actually just go over to Corralis's and grab some more. He said if I need some, just to grab it. I've got some in here that we could just use for now. Okay. Let me catch up on chat too. Does anyone know what happened? Is there any, like... Y'all are a bunch of brain smarties who remember things I can't. Did Pixel leave his items somewhere? Oh, I think I literally gave him the wood. I remember it now. And yeah, I don't know if he. Okay, right. Let's just fly around and see if we can find it. I know what we're doing. I know what we're doing. Brain pushes us to negativity as well. Unfortunately, we're wired to look for threats all the time. The internet and media are exaggerating that. It does take the conscious effort every day to really stay focused on positives. Yeah, Curls, I have to like reflexively remind myself like how I like making videos, and how, like, you know, this is great what I do here, even though I'm like struggling with some content creation pressures and ideas, or however we want to label them. This goes to Force's base. I was looking for a way directly to the Christmas village. This is close enough. Yeah, so, oh my god, train of thoughts going all over the place. Wow, Force's base is just so amazing. So awesome. So yeah, I noticed how like I just start thinking about content in like a worrying way, like, oh, I've got to create this, I've got to create that, and oh, when will this video get finished? And I'm just really trying to like take the foot off the gas and hit the reset button on that. It's such a weird, like I've pushed myself so hard to create content like fast and to a good standard and stuff that like the organicness of it has just sort of disappeared. It's just like getting on a treadmill and going, and I could probably keep doing that. Like, there's parts of it that I like, but it's just like, what is going on in my head? Like, why am I like somewhere doing something, and then all of a sudden it's like I just start thinking about how I need to do this, I need to do that to get this video out. Will I get it out on that day or this day? And it's like, it's just not right. There's something not right about it. Someone posted a big message about Gen Z, and I was going to read that in a second, but it's off the screen. If you want to repost that, I'll read that. It seems like it was a question I'd like to respond to. So, this looks like it. Hey, oh, dang. Well, if it ain't here, then I ain't sure. This was my best bet. This feels like stuff it definitely gave to Pixel, right? All of these lighting, all of the redstone. Is there more around here? Noel Voidface says, to be fair, maybe for us Gen Z folks, it's also similar to how when you're a child getting hurt. Might be the worst pain ever, but in reality, it's a little scrape on the knee. We haven't experienced that much turmoil in the West, all things considered. I'd like to think I just need perspective on being alive. Haha. I think your question's got it spot on. You like... That's what I was trying to say earlier with the idea of the graph that goes up and comes down. It's like you're experiencing the coming down bit, but you're not aware of where it all came from, right? And perspective is the one thing that can help you. Now, the more you broaden your perspective, you're going to have your own sense of feeling. Like, I can't tell you what you should feel, right? Like, everyone's life is their own and unique and whatnot. But I just feel like I see the way we grapple with information, and I'm worried that it pulls us into like a lot of negativity. So by studying the past, by learning about the technology of the past, the cultural norms, the history, the way things worked, economics, the more and more I've deciphered of that stuff over the years, the more and more I see how this romantic notion of the past is really not so great. Like, it's alright to be nostalgic about the past and enjoy things from previous cultures and whatnot, but the reality of living in the past is different, and it's mainly the more invisible things. I think things like child mortality is a crazy one. We forget how many children died through childbirth and stuff. Like, life used to be really brutal, and so like, you can look at what we go through today in the world, and you can roll back the years, couple hundred, and just see how much more difficult it was then, and it makes you thankful for so many more things. I wonder if Kralis has got some mangrove lying around here I can pinch. Dang! Got a whole organised thing going on here, I like it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to nip down to the farm. There was a big stockpile of it once upon a time when I came by. To be nostalgic of a past where you yourself hasn't been born is called anemoia. Oh, right, okay. I mean, sometimes I've been nostalgic for times when I was alive, and then I remember, like, oh no, that was not actually that great, or whatever, right? Like, you kind of remember all these other things. You might have... How do I get out of here? That used to be able to just get out. Oh wait, there it is. Yes, you can. You can get out of there because they're arranged correctly. Reminds me of how Renaissance fairies, mostly a US thing, are only really enjoyable with modern sanitation. Renaissance fairies. I don't even know what that is. Wow, something else. You know, there's always something to know in this world, right? There's never a shortage of stuff to learn about. Crazy. Could we use green carpet or moss carpet in our tunnel? I don't think that would fit very well, but maybe then, like, this is a resource we could just, you know, help use up. We can bone meal that stuff too, actually. Where does the mangrove wood go then? It goes here, and I don't think Kralis has got much stockpiled, so okay. Oh my god, talk about waffling. I've just noticed the time. I've been waffling way too much. I'll take some of this and we'll consider it. I got a feeling that we probably won't like how moss carpet looks in that tunnel, but maybe when we get to decorating the main area, it might be a cool thing to like have a mossy theme at the bottom or something. I think we're definitely going to go put a bunch of mangrove wood in, that's for sure. And I'll drop Kralis a DM and ask him about this place, and if there's some wood stashed away somewhere. Also, that'll make a gorgeous thumbnail right there. Gorgeous thumbnail achieved. I will take that. Peeps, I've been waffling. It's time for me to go. I've got some things to do in the evening. Time is sensitive. You know the deal. I have to head out of here. So a big thank you to everyone who subscribed, resubscribed, donated, and shared. Thank you for those gifted subs. Nuka Rapture, appreciate you. Thank you to the mods, the patrons. All your support is appreciated. We will do a real riggedy raid. Gonna raid the Jeebus corner today. So here we go, as they say. Anyway, that's it. Thank you everyone. Take care. Bye bye.